Road trip, it's time for the road trip. Yay! Cotonou, here we come. Alrighty, so the road trip started with a fender bender. But by this point, we had already moved and they solved the issue. It was a motorcycle on the side of the Uber guy. They bumped into each other. Don't know how that happened, but it was like a bump. It was a minor issue. The bumper came off the car. We stalled for a minute before we pulled off. I think about maybe 15, 20 minutes. At this point, I'm a little nervous because we need to make it to mile 1 to get the transportation to Cotonou. So they stalled a little bit, eventually realized, okay, we can fix this bumper in like 5 seconds. The motorcycle guy, he drove off because he was in the middle of a delivery. It looked like he did something like DoorDash. Waited for them to finish loading up everything in the van so we can head off to Cotonou. All right, so now that they got all the bags stuffed in the back like sardines, when I tell you they do not leave space for air in these travel vans. The first time I saw this was last year when I went and we did a road trip from Lagos to Delta State. I was like, dang, they stuffed these things in here like it ain't no tomorrow. But hey, they make it work. So we started the road trip right here. We were stopped in traffic, of course, just trying to get up out of there. And it was hot. We didn't have AC or anything working in the car. We did get pulled over. This is the first checkpoint, I believe. At this checkpoint, the officers looked at passports and stuff. So they had my passport. They looked at it, gave it back to me, and we were just sitting here. They kept the driver for a while. As you can see, the immigration sign that he had hanging up, they took it from him.
Now what you look for? A passport now. Not any passport. That may you find them money finish. Look for passport. No be passport. Settlement. Your settlement is fine now. Nobody will stop again like this, huh?
Just do the stop for now.
They find money.
Gotta be honest, although I wasn't afraid of the road trip, it was like that anxiety that comes over you, that adrenaline, doing this thing that a lot of people say they would never do in a million years. I didn't have any fear or anything. It was just like intimidating, especially like this part right here. This guy, he just opened up the door.
Give me your passport. No, no, be play. Now, Baba want you yourself.
No verse. No verse.
Baba, don't worry. How much? You work here? Yeah. How many people there? How many people there for the back? Seven. How many?
We have 7 numbers.
Baba, meta. Set it ready, like. Back in the way. Hey, this place is narrow. Can't control the what I go do, you go regret. Nothing, don't go do anything. Me only do Roma. What must offer here?
I would say definitely being a foreigner in these countries, you want to have some kind of sponsor with you because you just never know what you might come up against, especially if you decide to do this type of road trip with all of these checkpoints, and you never know who might try to get over you. Like that officer, for instance, who tried to get over us. A lot of people would have been so scared that it's like, hey, let me give them my passport, and what if they keep your passport? This was another checkpoint. Everybody had to get out the car. Luckily for me, I didn't have. At this point, I can't even tell you how many checkpoints we reached. I wish I would have wrote them down because it was interesting. It was like every other 5 minutes, it was a checkpoint. But here, when they had everybody get out, they checked the trunk and just making sure that it was nothing illegal going on because we weren't that far from the semi-border, which is the border between Nigeria and the Benin Republic. The car broke down. It was broke down when we got up in there from Jumpstart. It broke down and he had to fix it and stuff like that. And we pretty much was back on the road. We didn't stay at that checkpoint too long. So again, we're not that far from the semi-border. This was the last checkpoint. He just reached up there to grab some Naira, handed it off to them, and we were on our way. This area right here, those people in the back of the van, they were going to Ghana. So this was their stop. They got kicked out. They had no idea that they were going to get kicked out anyway. So before I started recording, they were going back and forth with the driver because he didn't tell them that they were going to get kicked out before the Nigerian Benin Republic border to get another van off to Ghana.